Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, Brandon here with another great business to discuss on this episode of the Real Money, Real Business podcast. Today's guests are Jesse and Natalie, and they're selling their drop shipping, Amazon Associates, and display advertising business on the Empire Flippers marketplace. So welcome to the show, Jesse and Natalie, and how are you both doing today?
Hey Brandon, thanks for having us. We're doing great. It's a great morning to start this off with.
Hi, Brandon. It's nice to talk to you.
Yeah, it's really nice to have both of you on this call and really excited to talk to you about this business you've both created. But before we get into the more details of the business, let's give a quick general overview. So it is a drop shipping, Amazon Associates, and display advertising business in the outdoors niche created in October 2016. The average monthly revenue for the business is $173,794 and makes an average of $27,593 per month in net profit. For everyone listening, you can visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing 50297 to learn more about the business, or you can unlock this listing to start your due diligence if you're interested in purchasing this asset. So now that I've given a general overview of the business, what's included in the sale are 2 domains and all of the site's content and files, an email list with 498 subscribers stored in Klaviyo, social media accounts for Facebook, Pinterest, YouTube, and Flipboard, SOPs for guides, templates, and supplier product information for new posts, access to Integromat account, logo and favicon files, and supplier contracts and relationships. And so, now that I've given the details of the business and what's included, Jesse and Natalie, can you tell our audience a little bit about your background in building and running online businesses?
No problem. I actually started probably back in 2015 with the FBA and didn't do so well with that. Then I was about to graduate college, and Natalie and I, that's where we met, and she's from Germany, and we met in Hawaii, and I really needed to earn some cash, so I found a dropship lifestyle and picked up dropshipping from there, and then it just kind of grew to what it is today, from just a basic Shopify store to all this content and revenue that we have today.
Wow, that's really great. So with this business in particular, how does it primarily generate revenue? I noticed you have a couple different monetizations on the business with dropshipping, Amazon Associates, and display ads, but where would you say the majority of the revenue is stemming from?
I would say the majority of the revenue is coming from the drop shipping. We just started the Amazon affiliate and the display advertising in 2020 when we switched over to WooCommerce, because we started noticing our organic traffic was picking up. And we figured, why not hit up on the free traffic that we were getting and see if we can make some more money out of it.
Yeah, that's a really great strategy and a great approach as well to now establish that you have multiple revenue sources. And that's just another great opportunity for a buyer to also utilize moving forward. Now, why did you choose this specific niche with the outdoors? Was there something that you noticed while you were growing your FBA business model and you noticed as a great opportunity? Or was it just something that you happened to locate during the time of figuring out how to start a dropshipping business in general?
That is a really good question. You know, it was actually an interview, sales pitch from DSL, and they kind of went over these numbers where if you sell, in order to make $1,000 out 3,000, you'd have to sell like 3,000 $10 items or 2 $1,500 items, and that just clicks. So I just kind of looked for a bigger product that was interested and that would have a hobby, and just went with that. And it quite meet the model that they were suggesting, but I did so horrible with that low ticket on FBA. I just kind of wanted to go in the complete reverse on that.
Yeah, that's a really awesome story to hear how you went from, okay, why am I going to want to sell hundreds and hundreds of these low ticket items to, okay, now I can gain better conversions on these higher ticket priced items. And that's really awesome. So I'm assuming with this business, they're more high end or maybe even more expensive products as far as the drop shipping is concerned.
Yes, that's correct. We do have some smaller products and they do sell. And surprisingly, they do have like really good margins, but we don't advertise those. It's just the high end. It takes just as much work to sell a $10,000 product as it does sell a $10 product. And it just seemed logical to focus on only the high end products.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really great strategy. And, I'm curious, if the business is doing so well at this time, why have you both decided like to sell it?
We basically want to just start new projects. We're interested in other things, and we thought it's time to move on, basically.
Also, where we got it to at now, to take it to the next level, I don't think either of us really had the experience for that. And I think we've taken it as far as we can go. I'm sure that we still have a few more projects that we have ideas on, but whether we have the experience for that or not, it just seems safer to sell now while we know we're good at than to wait. And yeah, that's where I'm thinking there. I maybe want to re-record that one because my answer wasn't that great.
No, I thought that was pretty spot on. It's time to basically pass the baton to the next owner and let them ultimately scale it to its full potential. So I completely understand where you're coming from on that. Now, was there anything that you learned while growing this business that you plan on applying to maybe current or future businesses down the road?
Yes, there is no such thing as passive income. If you want to grow a business, it's a very active source. And that was the biggest hurdle for me to get over when we first started. I don't know if it was the same for you, but I think passive, I'm like, oh, I don't got to really work except for an hour a day. Not true. You got to bust, work, and you really got to go for it. That's really the big thing I took from, my whole journey was there's no such thing as passive. And I think what Natalie showed me on with switching from Shopify to WooCommerce, there's definitely a lot of options for growth outside of the main platforms as well. So you don't need to stick to the main ones. I would say that's the lesson I learned there. What about you?
One thing that I actually learned from this business in comparison with other websites we have is that there are niches that are doing really well on certain platforms or in certain formats. And you really have to learn your brand and your niche really well in order to grow fast or better. Because, for example, this brand is really great and easy on Pinterest, while some other niches are not. And I take that away from it. And that if you really focus on the brand and you get some ideas, you can really do a great job. You can grow it real good within a certain amount of time. It's really interesting when you get into the niche itself, that to see all the possibilities you have. Yeah, I take that as a broader picture from this business.
Where Pinterest was really good, where one of our other ones, Pinterest, was just the worst thing it was just a complete waste of time.
Yeah, it's interesting that you were able to discover that during the growing and the scaling process for this business. And, on the flip side of that, so was there anything that you tried with this business and it just didn't give you the ROI that you were expecting?
Facebook.
For sure. It's just the niche and being high ticket items. People just don't really look on Facebook, but usually other people that are in a dropshipping market, they are always like, oh, you got to run Facebook ads. And it never worked out for us.
Yeah, I think I spent $10,000 on Facebook ads. I didn't get a single sale. But that could also be potential for a future buyer too. I don't know Facebook ads that well. I mean, we took a course on it, but clearly we weren't doing something right. So that could be a way for the next buyer to move the business forward. I don't think it would work that great, but someone who's really good at Facebook, they could probably do something with that.
Yeah, that's an interesting take. And, it's also good for, potential buyers out there that are listening. They understand that you've already tried this. Maybe if they do have that as a core skill, maybe it's something they could explore further. Now, where would you say that a majority of your traffic comes from then? Does most of it come through organic search, or are you running any type of paid advertising to the business at this time?
Yeah, most traffic is organic. That's actually when I started working with the business. That's what I focused on, to optimize product pages and to add content so that people find our store on the first page for plenty of search queries. So I think around 70% or something, or 75%.
Last month was 74% organic. Yeah, we just got the numbers this morning. 72% organic, 13 social, and all other sessions 14. But we do a lot of paid advertising too. It's just really
Like
narrowed
8%.
in. I think that bill is like $2,000 a month, but all our keywords are very targeted in for the shopping ads. So we really only pick up queries of people who are ready to buy instead of the people who are searching.
Oh, that makes sense. Now, some other terms of marketing, you guys mentioned, Pinterest being really great. Would you say that's the strongest social media channel for you marketing wise, or are you doing anything else as far as marketing is concerned?
Well, yeah, Pinterest is probably bringing the better traffic. Every now and then I post new blog posts on our Facebook page, but I just really gave up on that platform. I tried Flipboard in between. That didn't convert very well, so I stopped doing that as well. So I completely focus on Pinterest, really, because it just converted the best way. And we could promote the blog posts that also promote some of our smaller items, like accessories or whatever, like small tools. And so that's how we try to utilize Pinterest and focus on that.
We don't do any paid advertising through Pinterest. If you're meaning to buy that with marketing, we just do good social pins that get people to come to the site.
Descriptions.
Which I guess is a sort of marketing there, but no paid advertising. I think they asked us one time. I just couldn't figure out the platform, so I just focused with what I knew.
Gotcha. Now, are you doing anything with the email list or actively trying to grow that? I noticed you have a few subscribers on there, but yeah, what are you doing as far as your email marketing is concerned?
When I first started, I think it's still a good thing, and everyone keeps talking about email lists. I really couldn't get it off the ground. We do still have like a sign up, but we don't actively like push people to sign up for it. When they check out, they can sign up as well. It's just, I think you did an email chain one time and we actually got one sale off that.
Yeah.
But it took like the amount of effort to make that email list or do that little promotion email versus what we would have done anyways. We haven't been able to crack that code yet.
So another great opportunity for a potential buyer that might have some skill sets within, building optimized email campaigns or maybe even how to grow the email list further might offer some potential there as well for them to explore. Now, hypothetically speaking, if the both of you were to keep this business, what are some of the ways that you would personally try and grow it?
One first thing would be creating an ebook about pre-purchase questions and whatnot. I have some ideas that I could share with the buyer about it. And I actually started writing it a little bit too. And because customer service is such a big part of our business, it might take a little bit away from it because people can read the ebook instead of asking all the questions on the phone or via email or something. And yeah, that also goes hand in hand with the email list. I would work on the email list with the ebook so you can new subscribers, you can go through a sequence and pitch the ebook in the end. You could even think of ways to win back the customers, okay, if you're happy with the information you got from the ebook, you can get the coupon and get your money back or something if you buy from us or whatever, There's many ways you can make that work well.
I almost said the item. If they buy the item, they get their money back for the ebook. So they get a discount on the ebook. So it would save them. Basically, they can learn for free, but if they decide not to, then you still make a little money on the ebook.
Yeah, that's a really great strategy. And to keep that in mind as another growth opportunity for a buyer to consider. And that's really awesome to see that you guys kind of established that recognition in something that could be beneficial to still get some type of conversion out of the traffic. Now, could you describe maybe some of the typical work or the tasks that you're performing on the business on a maybe say weekly basis at this time and kind of what you're doing to maybe even produce more content or, what does your typical weekly tasks consist of?
I really focus on the order processing and the customer service. That's one of the reasons also why we wanted to pass the baton along. I don't know how to train someone. I'm sure people have very good skills in that, but I also like talking to the customer. So I mainly answer the phones, and it's usually just answering oh, hey, you're a real person. And they just want to have a normal conversation, and then they buy. And then just processing orders. But to speed that along, I actually met some friends out in Tbilisi this last year that helped with automating the order processing in the morning. So that's all just pulling up the email, verifying everything's correct, and sending it out. That is really all I have to do. In a normal week, Averagely, I'd say I spend about 10 hours a week, but that's average throughout the year. So like this time period is pretty busy. But then you come into the last 2 months of the year, it's like less phone calls. You still get plenty of purchases, but like no work for those purchases. And summer is kind of mid-range for phone calls there, I would say. And you for content?
Yes, so I'm focusing more on the growth part and managing our VA and writer. Our VA adds the products and
generic VA stuff.
Yeah, general stuff that VAs do, like optimizing products, adding things or changing prices, inventory, and so on. Usually like throughout once a month or every 2 months, I'm planning the content. I'm trying to get that ready. And then, yeah, that's basically it. I'm not doing that much, but it's like the growth part. So I don't have to be on the laptop every single day. I can like basically knock it all out in like a day or an afternoon, and then don't work for a week or so. Just keeping an eye on the VA every now and then to see if she has questions or not.
Okay. And will that VA be continuing on with the business, or will your writer or VA contacts be going on with the new buyer?
It will be going on with the new buyer as we are continuing, because it's still a running business. We're rehiring and firing and doing all that fun stuff with it as well. So as when the person buys or whatnot, we could see in that situation where the VAs are. But even then, I think we went last year like 6 months without adding content. You did most of the content in the beginning of the year, and then like maybe one article every 2 months.
Okay. But I noticed you guys have also included the SOPs for the guides, the templates, and things of that nature for new posts. So if a potential buyer already had a team of writers, it could be quite, simple, I'm assuming, just following your SOPs for the content-related production, correct?
Oh,
yes,
definitely.
Okay. On that subject, do you feel that a potential buyer should have a specific skill set prior to acquiring this business, or do you feel that a majority of the workload can be learned during the transition period?
I personally believe the majority of the workload can be learned for the transition period, but I think an ideal buyer knows how to manage, a good manager knows how to manage his people, because that's how, obviously, if someone buying this is going to take it to the next level, and the next level is hiring someone to do the stuff that I'm currently doing and thinking more overview. So I would say someone that's good at the hiring practice and maybe has a really good SOP for how they hire and fire people, or so basically a good manager for what I would say. What would you say for a good skill set?
No, that's basically it. Like just maybe knowing the drop shipping model itself and how to work with a business like that. You learn everything online these days anyways, but like that's where we struggle, like training new people or like managing people. That's what we mostly struggle with. That's probably what we also
are ready to move on to.
We're not people that manage a whole huge team. We like to just work together in a small team, or the two of us. It makes it a little easier for us.
And I would even say with that, whoever for the phone service, a lot of times customers aren't even asking a lot of questions. Every question they answer is literally our ask, is 9 times out of 10 on the product page. They just want to talk to a human. And I would say the majority of my conversations with customers is just talking about life in general, or about home and outdoor just in general. And it would be just like, oh yeah, my son's graduating from here. Like they just want to talk to people. And I think interpersonal communication skills would be key to anyone on the phone.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not even about product knowledge most of the time. It's literally conversations. I think I talked to a customer for 2 hours one time, and we're just talking about military stuff. The sale was done in the first 15 minutes, and it just got really personal after that.
I can completely understand that. Even now, so considering, kind of the current state the world is, and I mean, people are dying for, someone to speak to, someone anywhere out there, and you have a phone number available, I'm going to call it. So I can completely understand that. That's great. It's good to hear your take on, what type of skill set maybe a buyer should already have, but, kind of be prepared for, maybe some of that customer related service stuff to really scale the business further. Now, what do you feel are maybe some of the potential risks associated with this business that a buyer should be aware of?
I want to say it's a risk, but just a headache that you could potentially have. And as anyone right now, the current supply chain in the world is a real pain, as I'm sure anyone who's looking at this is probably well aware of. But customers are buying further and further back. So, for example, I sold a product yesterday for quite a bit, but delivery time is 2021. Just don't know when it's going to come and when the customers get it. If the person's up front, I think that's the only headache part, is dealing with longer sales right now because of the current supply situation in the world. And demand, and I think I was talking to my supplier last week, they said demand in the niche have gone up 200% worldwide, while supplies for the materials have dropped.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And obviously with being larger ticket items as well, that's kind of somewhat expected, I guess, in that term, where you're not necessarily shipping wristbands or something of that nature. So yeah, I completely understand where you're coming from.
Well, actually, with the delivery, at the beginning of 2020, before all this started happening, lead time was only 2 days to get out for most items. So once it leaves the warehouse, you're good to go as far as I'm concerned, because we're very strict on our return policy and our items are heavy and people aren't wanting to pay shipping on that. And I think I've only ever had one customer that tried to return something. Yeah, I think I had one guy try to return something and it was a small item and they still didn't want to return it because they didn't want to pay return shipping. That is, the 2-day lead time was great because the big item going out, it just relieves the stress there. Having the tickets or your orders build up, that is, I would say, the biggest hassle right now, just waiting for the items to sell. But it does make cash flow good because the suppliers, they don't charge until the item ships out.
Okay. Yeah, that's really good to see that you've already kind of established that foundation and ultimately, kind of built that foundation for a buyer to take and pick up and scale further as well. Now, are you both willing to commit to a non-compete, meaning for the next 2 years, you'll stay out of this specific niche?
Besides for we have one other website. It's not in this specific niche, but it is very high level in the niche as well. But we would discuss it with the buyer, and we are willing to give up that site as well if necessary.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure potential buyer can also see the value in that as well too. And, how much support are you both willing to offer potential buyers? Are you going with the typical 30 days of email and Skype support, or did you have something in addition that you would like to add on to that?
I am willing, or we're both willing. My friend Mark put it, it's my first exit, but it's still kind of like our baby. I want to see it succeed, and I have really good relationships with the suppliers, so I really want the business to keep going good. I'm willing to provide however much, or we are willing to provide however much support they need within reason, as long as everything's worked out in the contract and all that.
Great. And then are you open to negotiating something like an earnout where you'll receive a large portion of the sales price up front and then smaller payments closing out the deal several months after that?
I'm open to it, but it would depend how all the numbers work out on the contract as well. I'm open to a lot of things. I have to see numbers to make a final decision on that type of thing.
Yeah, completely understandable. And again, that's something that can always be discussed during negotiations, but great for our buyers that are out there listening that might have something to bring to the table. So that's great. Now, just a few sideline questions for you to wrap this up. So what advice would you give to our listeners that you wish you knew when you first started this business?
I think the biggest thing is to return every phone call. When I first started, I only returned phone calls for voicemail. A lot of customers don't like to leave voicemails. And I would say a lot of the times when I return a phone call, it has led to a sale, even when they didn't leave a voicemail. And I think one of my biggest sales was a return on a phone call, and it made bank. And they're like, oh, I didn't even expect a phone call back. And then we talked I think we're going to go ahead and purchase. And that's the biggest thing, is always call the customer back, even if they don't leave a voicemail, and you'll close plenty of sales that way.
Yeah, that's really solid advice.
Good relationships with your suppliers will give you a overall better situation.
That is very true. I did not consider that part. Adding suppliers will obviously improve the business quite a bit, but the minute a supplier stops communication or they're a little slow on it, don't waste your time with it. Focus on the suppliers that are really committed to your business succeeding as well. And our relationship with the suppliers, this is one of the reasons why I'm willing to stay on within reason, because I do care about the suppliers as well. I want to see their businesses succeed or continue to succeed. And I know right now we are number one independents for both of our main suppliers.
Okay.
And
that's really great.
Having that relationship certainly helps with them, because they'll pass sales on when people inquire, throw them our way as well.
Okay. That's really great to hear that you've kind of established that relationship. And, it's another great establishment to the foundation that you've both created with this business. And I'm sure our potential buyers out there can also see the value in that. Now, was there any software or tools that really helped you at the start or maybe even managing this business?
No, not really. I don't think we really used any major softwares. I mean, Elementor, that wasn't at the start either, but that's just basic.
Okay, just some stuff for the CMS.
I can't think of anything. The big one now is Integromat, which I'm still working on for a new supplier right now, but that's the biggest software. I didn't really think about automating a lot of that stuff until I met a lot of other entrepreneurs out in Tbilisi, and they talked me through a lot of that. And yeah, it was a great help. That definitely helps. Integromat could be very beneficial for the next buyer. And there's this one software that everyone uses for customer service. If they're going to be hiring someone else to do the phone calls and stuff, I think they should probably use one of those big ticket item. Those ticketing systems, kind of like what you guys are using as well in Empire Flippers.
Yeah, something similar to like a Zendesk or kind of like a help desk.
Yes, there we go, Zendesk. I cannot think of that word.
Yeah, I got you. That's a really solid point to mention as well too. And it's another opportunity for someone to kind of help ease the workload and to really focus more on scaling versus just day-to-day management. So that's another great mention. Yeah, now, so final question to wrap this up for you guys. Putting yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why do you think that your business is worth buying?
I would say just from the diversity of income. And the fact that, unlike most drop shipping stores, the majority, I can't even say that because I haven't seen most drop shipping stores, but I would assume most drop shipping stores, the majority of traffic is paid, not organic. And just the fact of how much organic traffic we get. And I know it's not counted into the income, but Mediavine income is really increasing quite a bit right now. And I would say as our traffic increases more and more, that's just going to keep going up. I think focusing on the content to spread out the income, so not the majority is coming from drop shipping. Well, that's going to be hard to beat, but the more income you get outside the drop shipping, which we are set up for and primed to keep going, will be very beneficial to the next buyer.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's having those, diversified revenue streams is a really great bonus. And as you had mentioned too, with it being primarily drop shipping income, it's great that you've been able to build that income through organic search traffic, which is, as you had mentioned, something that we don't see quite often, but it does happen. And that pretty much wraps up this call. Was there anything else that you both would like to add or anything that I might have missed?
Nothing I could think of off the top of my head. I would like to just finish off, we're open to a lot of different situations, like with payouts and stuff that you're mentioning. So anyone who's even remotely interested, we're always open to talk and discuss everything. I think that's really the last thing I have for it.
Okay, perfect. Well, yeah, I'm sure, all of our listeners and potential buyers out there that are doing their due diligence on this business can also see the value. And hearing your story, I'm sure, has helped them kind of maybe even want to move forward and push the needle to the next stage in negotiations. So, yeah, that pretty much wraps up this call. Thanks again for jumping on the call with me today, Jesse and Natalie, and looking forward to seeing this listing getting sold for you both here in the near future.
Well, thanks for having us, Brandon.
Yeah,
it's greatly appreciate it.
Yep, thank you. And all right, everyone. So thanks for listening. To learn more and to see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 50297. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. And once you've unlocked this listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about this business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.